Hi, in this video, we're going to demonstrate the effects of the post-process animation blueprint and the effects it can have on baking when you're working with Unreal Engine. So what we can see here now, we have an example here where we just have Manny, and we're going to go into his details panel here, and we can see that by default, we have disable post-process blueprint off, which is usually the default case when you're using a skeletal mesh. So what happens is if you turn off the disable post-process animation blueprint, depending on if you have it set up or not, you'll see that the bones actually move for the corrective bones on Manny here. And not only do the bones move, the skeletal mesh actually gets updated in a different way when it's on or off. So when you don't pay attention to this when you're baking out animation clips, what happens is that you will bake out the animation clip in the default mode with the post-process animation blueprint correctives applied into the animation clip. Sometimes that's desired and sometimes that is not. So in this example, we're just going to do a quick manual bake. We're just going to bake to an animation sequence, and we're just going to do it to our developer folder here really quick. And we're going to override it. And let's say we go back into the content browser and we take a look at this animation clip, and then we bring it back in here. And let's say we disable this one. And you can see that there are already some issues going on here where you have the elbows kind of sticking out. So just to make sure that this is the case, we're going to double click this and we're going to open it up. So we can see here that if we do a pause on the frame or any specific frame, you can see that the elbow is looking weird. And just to confirm, we're going to open the original clip. So we're going to go here, hold down Shift, and we're going to open it up in a separate window here as well. And we can also see that, hey, it is originally correct, but how come after our bake, it's not looking correct? So what we'll notice is that we didn't turn off the post-process animation blueprint when we did the bake. And now that we're looking at the animation clip again, the post-process animation blueprint is in fact actually running a second time. So if we do disable the post-process animation blueprint here, you can see that it does return and it does look correct, as if you were running the original animation clip with the post-process applied once and once only. So what happens now is we generally if you want to keep the post-process animation running once and once only, we want to make sure that we disable the post-process animation blueprint when we do our bakes in this specific example. If you do want to export out to something like Maya or Blender or other DCC programs, you probably do want to have it enabled and when you're baking so that you do preserve this data on the animation that is normally not accessible outside of Unreal Engine. So how do we fix this when we do our bakes is we can usually come back to here, and then if we are baking, we just have to make sure if you are doing it manually, you do have to go into your details panel and click it each time. So rather than being worried about having this on and off, we can take a look at how we do this with our widget here. So when we're in our animation sequence bake mode, we have everything in the bake options as default. And then we have this disable post-process blueprint off for now, just to demonstrate the effects of what happens when you don't use this feature and you repeatedly bake. So we're just going to run it with the default settings here, which is going to bake down, add the clip back in, and disable this current track. So we're going to select this, and we're going to hit bake. You can see that we get the same results for the first bake, but you can see here it's already pointy again because the post-process animation is embedded in the animation clip and then it's being applied a second time. So if we do disable this, it does come back because we're doing 2 times -1 and then it's going back. But you can see here that if we did it repeatedly, it will add up and accumulate. And this is generally not what you want when you are animating inside of the engine. So to get around this, to make it more convenient to use our plugin and also just to animate in general inside the engine, using our tool now, we can choose to disable the post-process when we bake. So you don't have to worry about the state of the post-process animation blueprint here anymore, or on if you are working with more than one skeletal mesh in general. So what we can do now is we can just hit bake. You can see that it preserves it and it bakes out the clip without the post-process animation blueprint running. So we can repeatedly bake here and it still preserves everything in place with the post-process animation blueprint running once and once only. So if you are animating and you do run into this situation a lot, consider using our plugin And if you aren't using our plugin, just to be aware, making sure that everyone's aware that you can disable this to get the desired results if you are repeatedly baking inside of Unreal Engine. All right, thanks for watching.